Hey, ujambo rafiki, salutations, greetings from your friend Joel Chestnut here, outside, taking a deep breath, enjoying life, enjoying the cooler weather today. And I'm here again following up on Rebecca Cheptegei, our athlete who passed away last Thursday. It was sad and doesn't get any better, because Dixon Diemo, the alleged killer, the alleged man or alleged partner who was behind the dousing and the inferno that consumed Rebecca Cheptegei, the newspapers, the local newspapers in Kenya are reporting that he succumbed to the burns that he had sustained during the whole incident that took away the life of Rebecca Cheptegei. Dixon Diemo passed away in the hospital in Eldoret. Some people will call it poetic justice. Some people are angry that he didn't face justice. Some people wanted this man to spend the rest of his life in jail. Some people have been looking for that fine line of what justice is, or whatever justice looks like in this part of the universe. It's sad. We've lost 2 lives to anarchy. We've lost 2 lives to a senseless situation that could have been prevented if equity and decency could have been maintained in this situation. Rebecca Cheptegei is not with us. Dixon Diemo just passed away this morning, as I said, or yesterday morning. And so here we are faced with the dilemma and the predicament of how evil seems to have no limits. It seems to manifest itself in different forms, and we've lost 2 lives. And I don't know how to look at it. Some people are very quick to have an opinion. I don't have any. I'm just reporting, and I'm kind of saddened at the same time that I'm standing here just trying to contemplate and trying to reflect of what has just unfolded. As if that's not enough, let me just add the doom and gloom to my narrative. There was a story that was reported of the inferno that consumed and killed students, young babies, girls, in a dormitory in Nyeri, some parts of Kenya. The numbers are still rising. They are not sure of how many were. Pretty much the first thing I'm getting from the ground, not to spin the story or be kind of spinning any rumors, is that 21 lives are lost, and the number seems to be rising because to identify the charts and the ashes and the DNA is taking a toll on the already stretched out mechanisms that are very interesting in Kenya to figure out the DNA of the parents and the dead and the ashes. So it saddens me. And if you step back a little bit and try to understand or try to look closely, these are preventables. These are preventable incidents. Yet we stand here and ask those hard questions. There's some criminality that for me, when I am looking from where I stand, both of them are criminals, but there's another underlying component when you think about it, is how life is being valued, how we look at lives. Are they valuable enough to be kept safe? Is life worth living sometimes? Is it worth investing more in the mental capacity for people to understand that all lives matter, so to speak? That women's lives matter, children's lives matter. They are not just part of the statistics. So again, it saddens me. It's a sad day in Kenya. It's a sad day in the world. As I've always said, we are all human beings. We are connected. We feel the pain. We wrestle with these things when we hear about them. And I hope we don't just move on and thinking moving on is a solution. Yes, it might look like a comforting thought, even for me to hear that we don't have the end game. Sometimes some of these things you have no end game. It's as if the wind of evil seems to be blowing one direction and there's no turning around. So anyway, Rebecca Cheptegei is still in our hearts. The children that perished in the fires in Nyeri is in my mind. I'm only reporting as a human being. I'm using this platform to highlight and keep the good news if possible, and the bad news, because that's part of the world we live in. There's good news, bad news, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Some movie went. So here we are. I'm again just trying to catch up with some of these things and highlight them. As I said, Rebecca Cheptegei to me, the French have taken an initiative to keep a memory in place in a sporting arena in Paris. It's a great day for me. I celebrate that. I understand our funeral is going to be on the 14th, which is a Sunday in Uganda, where she hails from. So that's what I'm following up on. The other thing that I think I read is there's an organization that was started by some of the athletes that have been really touched, and I think we are all touched. Joanne Cheptegei started an organization, a non-profit organization that speaks to this violence that have plagued the country. Most of the athletes who've been victimized by this violence. There's a Tirop Angels organization, which was formed from 2021 when Agnes Tirop, who was murdered by her ex-boyfriend. And by the way, the ex-boyfriend is still loose. He hasn't been held accountable. The case is still open. I don't know if justice will be found on that one. I don't know whether we even found justice in this one, and the fact that Dixon Diemo, who just pretty much allegedly murdered his partner, is dead. So where is justice? Poetic justice? Vengefulness? Prison? I don't know. It's one of those things you just stand here and you say, where is it? When we talk of justice, where is justice? So anyway, there's some athletes who've come up with this organization. I'm very interested in this organization. Tirop Angels, or organization that was created to kind of keep us reminded of the anarchy that have plagued our athletes, mostly women, who have fallen victims to this narrative or these insecure men that are roaming the streets and roaming the parts of the world, very jealous. Apparently, Cheptegei's situation was about land, and the idea there was an issue about land. I'm just kind of reporting what I heard or read in the newspapers, and it ends up in this. And by the way, don't forget, she had two daughters. I think they were 9 and 11. Apparently, these two young kids were there when the mother was murdered. I don't like going there as a parent to imagine a 9-year-old, 11-year-old girl watching the mother burned to death, so to speak. Those are children. Sometimes we just have to ask who's going to protect them, who's going to keep them sane, and so that they can find a sense of being as they grow. Having no mother, and let's say, I don't know, was that the father? I don't know. But that's the world those children are going to grow up in. I'm glad to report about women who are taking some initiatives to bring into awareness these femicide, these gender-based violence that have plagued our societies. I hope we find a higher ground. I hope we get to be better human beings, so to speak. And that's why I'm using this platform to highlight, maybe shed light on some of these issues, because they affect us. I grew up in a society where these things seems to happen just maybe on a level of brutality and violence, and then people think violence. Violence begets violence. It doesn't matter what violence we are talking about. It could be corporal punishment. I don't know. Does it create a sense of less violence and peaceful environment? Violence begets violence. End of the story. There's no way around it. So anyway, I hope peace, hope, love prevails. I think it's gonna prevail. I think at the end of the day, love and a sense of grace will guide us as we move forward, even with these tragedies. That is, it's just heavy. Some of these things I'm talking about can be heavy on our hearts and our minds. Like I said, I've invested in these athletes. They make my life, I'm here because of being an athlete. I'm in this country. I've represented athletes in certain ways. And to me, athletics has become almost like a religion, and I take it seriously. I take the whole idea of talking about athletes seriously. I don't belittle them. I talk high of them. Even if I criticize something, I have that sense of I know what they are going through, so to speak, not in every detail. And so that's where I am. I'm just reporting what I see because we live in this ecosystem of athletes. And we are brothers, we are sisters, we are connected. And something that can maybe give you a high point is maybe something to smile about is there was a race in Czechoslovakia. Is it Prague? Is Prague in Czech or Poland? I don't know, man. It was a race anyway. I think Marcus Arab, the Canadian, was trying to go for the 1K world record, 1,000 meters, which is a very rare event on track. He attempted that world record the other day in Prague. I don't know why, but I'm very critical of these things a little bit because his best time in 800 meters is 1:41, which is pretty decent. That's a quick 800 meters. Now that's 800 meters, 2 laps around the track, right? At the maximum pace, at the maximum speed, Marcus Arab has gone 1:41. I don't know what his time is in 400, but he's never done 1,500 either. So because when you talk of 1,000 meters, you are going 800 and then you have to go 200 more meters after that. So apparently he went 1:43 the first 800 meters, which was decent. But I think if you really ask me what I think about his attempt was that he underestimated. I think he thinks because he's a 1:41 guys, he can go 1:43, then he can finish the other 200, maybe something decent, 28 or something. Because the world record is held by Noah Ngeny. It's 2:11. I think the other fastest time is Sebastian Coe, who was a decent 1,500 meter guy and 800 meter guy. And I think Steve Cram. Wilson Kipketer never tried it, and he was very consistent in 800. I think he had a 2:15 at one point, which was still okay. I think David Rudisha did a 2:19, and he's a 1:40 guy. And so what I'm trying to say is that I think either he got too excited or he overstretched himself in running the 1K, and he runs a 2:13, which is not bad. 2:13 is still okay for 1K, for 1,000 meters. But I think people need to realize 1,000 meters is more than 800 meters. And I think for him to get there, 2:11 is quick. Noah Ngeny was a 1:43 runner. I think he was a 3:28, 1,500 meters. So you have to have 1,500 meters and a decent 800 to get the 1,000. I think that's my advice to Marcus Arab in Prague. He tried that. He fell short. So reporting from that end of the world tells me that too many things he's trying to juggle. He's feeling good. He won a race against Wanyonyi the other day. And I think they're meeting again in Brussels on Friday. So I'll give you some highlights when we get to Friday on the weekend, if I get some time. But again, this episode was just to catch up on some of the events happening locally in Kenya. As you can tell, I represent. I think I'm okay doing this, and I'm a person who is trying to use this platform to remind ourselves of how high and how low we can fall. One time we are having Great Olympics. Rebecca Cheptegei is having Great Olympics. The next day, we don't have Rebecca Cheptegei because evil manifested itself, it personified itself in another human being who himself perishes or falls in his own sword, you know. Dixon Diemo, if allegedly he seems just to take everybody with him, so to speak. What a tragedy. It's almost, I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, from Paris to this for Rebecca Cheptegei, it's sad. And now the children are going to be raised with no mother. And then we have children who just perish in schools. I don't like reporting doom and gloom. I'm just trying to wrestle with these issues when I hear about them because I've been talking about these athletes. So anyway, have a great day, be blessed. Hopefully the parts of the world you're living in, you're having ice cream, you're having something to cheer about, and you're having a good life, good health. And I wish you well. I'll talk to you soon, my friend, because love covers all sins. Love is an antidote to all forms of fear.